Canada is on the brink of making one of the most controversial military decisions in its history. 88 fifth-generation stealth fighters hang in the balance, with 12,000 jobs as the bargaining chip. This is the story of how politics, economics, and national security collided to create a multi-billion-dollar dilemma that could reshape North American defense forever. In 2022, Canada committed to purchasing 88 Lockheed Martin F-35 stealth fighters for $27 billion to replace its aging CF-18 Hornets. The first jets were scheduled to arrive in 2026, with deliveries through 2032. But everything changed when Mark Carney became Prime Minister in March 2025. Swept into power promising to reduce Canada's dependence on the United States, Carney faced a perfect storm. President Trump had launched a devastating trade war, slapping tariffs on Canadian steel, aluminum, and automobiles. 200,000 Canadian manufacturing jobs were evaporating as tensions between Washington and Ottawa reached historic levels. Within weeks, Carney ordered an immediate review of the F-35 purchase. While Canada had committed to buying the first 16 F-35s, the remaining 72 jets were still under negotiation. This created a narrow window of opportunity. Industry Minister Melanie Joly made the position clear: Canada wants more economic benefits, more jobs, and more autonomy. Sweden was ready with an irresistible offer. Saab proposed 72 Gripen E fighters plus 6 GlobalEye aircraft, promising 12,600 jobs on Canadian soil, 9,000 building Gripens, and 3,600 producing GlobalEyes in Ontario and Quebec. But Saab wasn't just offering to sell jets. They proposed establishing complete production facilities in Ontario and Quebec, creating a pan-Canadian supplier network that would transform the country into a manufacturing and export hub. The GlobalEye component particularly excited Canadian officials. Built on Bombardier's Global 6500 business jet platform, these sophisticated surveillance aircraft would be manufactured in partnership with Canada's own aerospace champion. The export potential sweetened the deal. Ukraine wanted over 100 Gripens, and Saab identified customers across Europe. Minister Joly told reporters they were discussing building 150 to 200 aircraft in Canada for international markets. Sweden's pitch went beyond economics. In November 2025, Swedish King Carl XVI and Queen Sylvia accompanied Saab's CEO on a high-profile visit to Canada, adding diplomatic weight to the courtship. But behind the impressive job numbers lurked an uncomfortable reality. Leaked evaluation data from Canada's 2021 fighter competition revealed the F-35 scored 95% for military capabilities. The Gripen E managed just 33%. The disparity was devastating in critical categories. Mission performance and upgradability showed the widest gaps, highlighting a fundamental truth. The Gripen E is a fourth-generation fighter, while the F-35 is fifth-generation. David Perry, president of the Canadian Global Affairs Institute, summarized the results bluntly. There was a clear-cut winner, no contest, no ambiguity. Former senior Royal Canadian Air Force officers sounded alarm bells. In November, 12 retired commanders, including former Chief of Defense Staff Tom Lawson, sent a private letter to Prime Minister Carney urging him to complete the F-35 purchase. Lawson told reporters there is nothing available in the free world that comes close to the quality of the F-35. Current military leaders echoed these concerns, though more diplomatically. Lieutenant General Jamie Spicer Blanchet, commander of the Royal Canadian Air Force, warned that both China and Russia now field fifth-generation fighters and advanced missiles holding Western allies at risk. The implication was clear: fourth-generation jets like the Gripen might not survive modern combat. The political calculus became brutally clear when Ecos released polling data in December 2025. 43% of Canadians favored switching to Gripen fighters, while 29% supported a mixed fleet. Only 13% wanted to continue with F-35s alone. Saab's public relations campaign was working brilliantly. Minister Joly framed the debate around economic sovereignty. With Trump's tariffs costing Canada 200,000 manufacturing jobs, she argued that defense procurement must create domestic employment. Canada is one of the world's 4 major aerospace producers, she declared, and the government will defend this sector, period. Lockheed Martin countered with its own economic argument: $15 billion in industrial benefits if Canada maintained its full 88 aircraft order. At least 30 Canadian companies already supply the global F-35 program, employing approximately 2,000 workers. Canceling the contract could jeopardize these existing jobs and Canada's access to the lucrative international F-35 supply chain. Defense experts warned of hidden costs in operating a mixed fleet. Training pilots on two completely different aircraft types, maintaining separate supply chains, and integrating incompatible systems into NORAD's defense network would create logistical nightmares. Former Air Force commanders worried that trying to operate both fighters simultaneously could leave Canada with two undermanned, poorly supported fleets instead of one capable force. As 2026 begins, Industry Minister Joly has scheduled meetings with Lockheed Martin executives, using Saab's offer as leverage to extract better terms. The Carney government promises a decision sometime this year, but the political pressures pulling in opposite directions are immense. U.S. Ambassador Pete Hoekstra publicly expressed frustration with Canada's indecision, telling reporters it would be nice if Canada made a commitment and moved forward. His irritation reflected deeper American concerns about NORAD integration. Military experts questioned whether the United States would even agree to integrate Swedish-made Gripens into North America's integrated air defense system, given the F-35's unique sensor fusion and networking capabilities designed specifically for Five Eyes operations. The timing creates additional pressure. Canada's CF-18S are decades past their optimal retirement date. Further delays risk leaving the Royal Canadian Air Force flying obsolete fighters into the 2040s, creating dangerous capability gaps. Meanwhile, allies and adversaries are already developing sixth-generation fighters, making Canada's endless debate over fifth-generation jets seem increasingly outdated. Defense analysts like Philippe Lagacé warn that Canada is out of runway for delays. The strategic environment is deteriorating rapidly, with Russian and Chinese threats in the Arctic intensifying. If Carney chooses Gripen for economic reasons, he risks creating a capability gap that could take decades to close. If he chooses the F-35, he faces accusations of capitulating to American pressure despite campaign promises. Canada stands at a crossroads where jobs, sovereignty, and national security converge. The decision will define Canadian defense policy for the next 30 years and signal whether Ottawa prioritizes economic nationalism over operational capability. As the first F-35s prepare for delivery, the clock is ticking. What do you think Canada should choose? Security or jobs? F-35 or Gripen? Drop your opinion in the comments below. Like this video, share it with fellow defense enthusiasts, and subscribe for more military analysis.